There's this big myth out there that every mini LED TV is just going to be so much brighter than OLED TVs, and that's the biggest advantage. That's why people go with it for a bright room. This is why they choose it. And in this comparison, I want to make sure we deliver the right information so that you can make the right purchase, because that's all this is about, is really finding the best TV for you for the money. And if you're in this price range looking at a QNED90T like the one on the left, or the S90D like the one on the right, you know what decision to make. Now, I do want to make sure I point out that the S90D is a 55-inch and the QNED90T is a 65-inch. But before you guys click off, I want you to know that there is an S89C 77-inch for $2,000, which is $100 more than the TV on the left. And that S89C will have the same brightness capability as the S90D on the right. Now, with that said, I want to point out the clear elephant in the room here is that there's not a huge brightness advantage with most scenes. As you can see from this scene in Shazam here, the TV on the left, which is going to be this on the waveform, and the TV on the right, which is going to be this on the waveform. As you can see, this is a pretty bright scene overall in a movie, and movies typically don't have a ton of bright scenes, so it's important to point that out. In most scenes like this, they're going to be very similar brightness levels. And here's another bright scene, and this one is actually a little bit brighter on the QNED90T. But look at the contrast difference, and that's one of the things that I really want to point out is a little bit more brightness versus more contrast. Is it really worth that much more? Both of these TVs will probably do about the same in a bright room. And I honestly think that when you're looking at the difference in color and contrast, it's the clear advantage to the S90D, in my opinion. It is definitely, maybe not as bright as the QNED90T, but in most scenes, they get about the same brightness. All right, we're going to take the scopes off the screen now, and we're going to look more into specular highlights when it comes down to watching movies. All right, so let's look at this next scene here, and I can tell you for a fact that there's a huge difference in contrast and specular highlights. A couple of things I do want to point out with the S90D and the QNED90T is that when you're looking at them side by side, like I am here, it's okay if you have the QD-OLED at an off angle because it's not affected by angles at all. But if I put the QNED90T at an angle, your viewing angles would fall completely off. So that's another disadvantage to Mini LED TV that you guys definitely have to remember, because it's a huge difference. So let's take a look at these lights in the background here, and even the lights reflecting into the water. A clear difference in specular highlights. And this is one of the things where Mini LED will struggle. In a scene like this, where you do have little specular highlights on a darker backdrop, you will have some struggles. You're going to notice that the specular highlights aren't as bright as they are on the OLED TV. And that's because A, if they did push the brightness in that spot, you would see more blooming. Or B, they don't have the dimming zones that are capable of showing the brightness in that particular area. So a TV like the QNED90T, which is a Mini LED TV, but however, it doesn't have a lot of dimming zones for a Mini LED TV. And so you're going to find Mini LED TVs that are going to do this particular scene a little bit better, but they still might choose to lower the brightness of the lights themselves to cut down on blooming. And that's one of the things that they have to make the decision about when it comes to specular highlights is, do they want to show it to a certain degree? What brightness level do they want to show those specular highlights at? Because they can result in showing you haloing and blooming, an effect where you just see that white glow around lights. That's going to be haloing and blooming. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes it's a blue glow. This is a disadvantage of Mini LED TVs and LED TVs in general that have a fuller rate backlight system. From the same movie here, we're looking at a big difference in contrast. The overall depth of the image looks completely different, and I'll tell you that it looks even worse in person than it does on camera here. I'm going to show you one more scene, then we're going to talk about the prices and why people buy Mini LED TV over OLED TV and the whole concern about burn-in. We're going to talk about that in just a second, but I do want to show you one more particular scene. So here's another screenshot that I took that demonstrates a clear disadvantage in contrast. Like, you have just that deep contrast level on an OLED TV that you're just not getting on the Mini LED TV. And you can see that here. And even I think just the depth of the colors itself. And you think that the QNED 90T is maybe getting a little bit brighter here, but they're actually very close to the same brightness level on the waveform. So you're just seeing a deeper level of contrast with the S90D. And I do think the S90D has better colors overall than the QNED 90T as well. So with all that said, how does this all stack up? What are we looking at with the QNED 90T? Why are people buying this TV over a QD-OLED TV of the same exact price point? And like I said, $100 more will get you the 77-inch S89C, which is the same brightness level as the S90D. I don't care whether you buy the QD-OLED TV from Samsung or Sony or an MLA-based OLED TV from LG. I just think that most people should be buying an OLED TV because you're talking about a huge difference in contrast. You've got so many more downsides, in my opinion, stacking up against a mini LED TV currently in 2024. The only thing that's going really against the QD-OLEDs and the MLA-based OLEDs is the fact that you're talking about there's still a possibility of burn-in. The chances of that affecting you is so rare, but the chances of the downsides of mini LED affecting you is every day. Ask yourself this: why would you sacrifice some of your enjoyment every day because it has lesser picture quality overall? And you will see disadvantages, like I mentioned, when there's subtitles, when there's lights on a dark background, you will notice this blooming. You will see it. It will bug you. You're not really getting an advantage with brightness anymore, and those scenes that you do get a brightness in are very rare. Those are going to be high APL scenes, which means high average picture level scenes. Those scenes are really actually pretty rare in most movies. Now, I do want to say that even high APL scenes, there's not a huge difference between the S90D and the QNED 90T. Now, will there be other TVs that can show even more brightness? Absolutely, there will be. This is about the QNED 90T level of TVs. This is what you're paying for. If you want one of those more expensive mini LED TVs, you're still going to not beat QD-OLED at this moment. QD-OLED currently is the best technology out there, and there's not a lot of downsides to go with it. Chance of bad uniformity on a QD-OLED TV is really low, and the chance of bad uniformity on a mini LED TV is pretty high. Most of these mini LED TVs will have dirty screen effect. The QNED 90T was some of the worst dirty screen effect I've seen. So with all that said, I'm just scratching my head why people would make the decision to go with mini LED TV of this quality, with this low amount of dimming zones for a 65-inch mini LED TV. Like, why would you choose that? And oh yeah, don't forget, $100 more will get you a 77-inch QD-OLED TV. Just think about that for a second before you go out there and buy a mini LED TV for $2,000 in the 65-inch size. It just doesn't make sense currently. And so that is why I'm making this video. I have to make sure you guys know, and I want you to know something. I like mini LED TVs. I like where they're going to go with mini LED TVs. They're going to get better. But currently, when you look at the market right now, what's available from mini LED TVs, nothing is beating OLED TVs at the same price point. Just nothing. I can't find too many use cases for a mini LED TV. The only real thing I can look at is size. If you need an 85-inch or larger, that's probably going to be one of your only options at certain price points, and I do recognize that they are better deals overall in higher sizes. If you're talking about 65-inch, 75-inch, 55-inch, you're going to find better TVs at a similar price point. Do you guys agree with me? Disagree with me? Let me know in the comments below. If you guys have any questions at all, leave them in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to the channel because I'll have 2024 reviews, comparisons, and settings all year long. And if you guys want to keep watching videos on 2024 TVs, check out this video right here. I think you'll enjoy it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.